Nope is written and directed by Jordan Peele, the man behind Get Out and Us, as well as a lot of movies he's produced recently. And this film stars Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer. They run a business in Hollywood that provides horses for movies to do stunt work. This business was started by their father, played by Keith David. And one night on their ranch, during a strange power outage, they begin to see shapes moving in and out of the clouds. And they realize they may have found the discovery of a lifetime. I'm not going to get into any specific spoilers in this video, but I will say that Peele and his cast have all used a specific term when discussing what's in the sky. We've seen trailers, they've shown stuff. I feel like it's public knowledge at this point that the movie is relating to a certain subject and subgenre of horror and science fiction. So if you don't know anything, I will talk at least about that moving forward. So this movie takes inspiration from a lot of films that I love, namely Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Signs, Jaws, but it borrows from those movies in a very loving way, just as every film does. I mean, everyone's inspired in some way, shape, or form from the movies they've seen before, especially ones that really had an impact on them. And it's clear with this movie that Peele has a big love for Steven Spielberg movies, because more so than any film he's made, this feels like his grandest achievement when it comes to awe-inspiring visuals. What he's done in this movie with the cinematographer is astounding. I have never in my life seen nighttime sequences this gorgeous. I'm not entirely sure how they did it. I am blown away. That's very rare for me to see a film and be like, yeah, I have no idea how they did that. When Daniel Kaluuya is looking at the sky and something is moving in and out of the clouds, it tapped into a childhood fear of mine that I've never been able to fully explain. When I was a kid, I was walking out of the Kingdom Hall with all my Jehovah's Witness friends, and something was in the sky and it really scared the shit out of me. For whatever reason, a blimp was flying really low that day. I don't know why. I don't know if it was some kind of event or if it was just landing nearby or something, but this giant, massive thing, I mean, I could hear like the engine, I could feel the rumble of it. It was that close. Went overhead, scared the shit out of me. I must have been 4 or 5 years old. I didn't know what I was looking at, and I've never seen a flying object that close to the ground before, even since. And ever since then, I've had this strange phobia about like floating away or like releasing a balloon and then gravity takes it. I think they actually touch on it a little bit in this movie. I've never known what to call it. There's probably a name for it, whether it's on Urban Dictionary or it's an accepted fear, but this movie tapped into that for me because the sequences showing this thing going in and out of the clouds sent chills down my spine. And I loved every second of it. When this thing shows up, electricity gets all fucked up, and there's a great device he uses with these, I don't know what they're called, those like dancing things that are outside of like car washes and shit. They're all over this ranch. And they're dancing in the wind, and whenever this thing is nearby, you see large patches of them just go because the electricity controlling the air goes away. And I found that to be an excellent device for building suspense. Daniel Kaluuya is really good. You feel a lot of pain in this guy. He's really great with silence. It's really hard to find actors who are excellent at that and really just letting you read a lot of emotion without saying anything. Keke Palmer is probably the standout. She's like an infectious explosion of energy. I thought she was so good in the movie. And just like Peele's last couple of movies, this film is really funny, and I don't think people realize how hard that is to ride that line. It's such a tough balance. It's a tightrope walk to have comedy mixed in with horror and sci-fi and social commentary, and it's really difficult to pull off. And I found the movie had a great balance of laughing and sometimes even in the middle of horror where the title comes into play and it creates that laugh. I just thought it was extremely well done. The movie is also fairly complex in a few areas. It has a lot to say about the way people consume media, how we view tragedy, and how we can even monetize tragedy. Sometimes the movie has a lot of targets and it hits a lot of them fairly effectively. And there was never a scene where I felt bored or like, why am I watching this? But there is a lot to take away from this movie, and I think a lot of different perspectives are really going to have opinions about things. One thing that I definitely noticed is that this movie is in many ways a love letter to crew. If you've worked on set before for a movie or you've made films of your own, you're going to hear terms that stick out and have meaning to you. But it's also about main characters who work as horse trainers for movies who haven't necessarily gotten the respect they deserve. And the film makes a point at referencing that sometimes people involved with monumental achievements in film are not recognized. And eventually, the film leads to a riveting action sequence on this ranch where Daniel Kaluuya is riding a horse trying to achieve something while wearing a hoodie that he received while working crew on an early 2000s movie. I'm not going to spoil it because it was a hilarious choice for the movie. But on the back of this hoodie, it says crew. And you're seeing that while he's doing amazing things. And I felt that that was a love letter to people who are behind the scenes making movies that don't often get the praise that they deserve. But the film references quite often a tragedy that happened on the set of a TV show back in the day. And I could see this sequence not necessarily making a point for some people. And there's a lot of ways to view it, but what I took away from it is a number of things, but I sort of zeroed in on media, film, news, books, everything in general has sort of a cyclical nature of just eating itself constantly. Something terrible happens, people find a way to make money off of it, trauma's associated with it, and it just keeps happening over and over and over and over and over. And I thought that that was really interesting, and I don't necessarily know if that's what he was going for, but I also think that Peele's the kind of filmmaker that gives his films to the audience and says, make what you want of this. And I really love that about all of his movies. Like, for instance, that tragedy that the film talks about from the 90s on this TV show set, a character in the movie was there for that. And you see that that was very traumatizing. But later on, that character is accepting a large sum of money for people to just be around memorabilia from that show. And so there's a lot there. You could say that we cast aside people who were involved in things and just treat them as ways of like fulfilling our strange fantasies, even though it was traumatizing for them. But you can also say that this person is now making a lot of money off of said tragedy. And that's interesting too. There's also a cinematographer in the movie who will go to extreme lengths to get the perfect shot, even when they've already got a pretty good shot. And that creates some interesting developments. So I think that if you make movies or have a job of any kind in the film industry, you're going to get a lot more out of this movie. For me, he's 3 for 3. I know not everybody likes Us, and probably not everybody will like Nope, and I'm sure there's people who don't like Get Out, but for me, I've liked all of them. I think he's great. I can't wait to see what he does next. And you might be wondering why there's an Akira VHS behind me, and that's because there is, in fact, an homage to that film in Nope. I mean, it's like you can't miss it if you're an Akira fan. And it's even cooler because Jordan Peele was offered the chance to direct a live-action version of Akira, but he turned it down, and he was quoted as saying he wanted to focus on making original content. And if this is the type of content he wants to make, I'm here for it. It's just awesome, and I loved it, and I hope that you guys enjoy it too. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very soon, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.